Okay, good morning, children. So this is our next video app, and the word of today is methods, static methods of the paths class. Okay, so we will start today. Okay, now, so I have created a brand new project. Okay, now this project, it's an extension of 9.2. So I've called it very imaginatively. I have called it 9.2 interacting with path and files B. Okay, and this video will be saved under the title, so just see it there. So this video will be saved under the title of, let me just see what I'm going to call it. So go back to here, I go to Google Drive, I go to here, go to my videos. Okay, so this will be saved under section 9.2, and this will be called 9.2E. Okay, so all of this will be saved under the title of 9.2E. Okay, now I'll probably get this finished in this video. If I don't, it'll go on to 9.2F. Okay, so I created a project. Now I just did a small bit yesterday. I intended to video another one, but you know, being at home, schedules go out the window. All right, so I couldn't record another video yesterday. All right, so this is now probably just one video again today, but this video should be around an hour and a half to 2 hours long. Okay, so I created this one here, 9.2 interacting with paths and files B, and I have examples and main. All right, now I'm going to be doing different methods of the path class. Now we're going to be doing something that you probably won't be able to do on your own machine. All right, now I don't know how this works in Unix. As far as I know, you'll be able to do it in Unix. All right, but I know Windows 10 doesn't allow you to do the thing we're going to be doing today. It'll allow you to do it if you shell out for Windows 10 Professional, which I happen to have in the machine. You mightn't have Windows 10 Professional, but that's neither here nor there, right? Anyway, the first method I've already typed up a bit is files.exists. Now, we know from previously you have a method called exists, but that's of the file class. Okay, if you want to find out if a path exists or not, you use files.exists. Exists is a static method of the files class. Now, it's not the same class that we were talking about in chapter 8. What we're talking about in chapter 8 was the file class, which is different from the files class. Why they give them, why you have two classes like that, I don't know. Okay, because they're stupid. Anyway, so geez, I'm very big there or something. Back note, a little bit too much Noel in one screen there. Okay, so files.exists operates in the same way as exists for the file class. Returns true if the directory or file exists, false if not. So it operates in the same way. Now, here, path1 is equal to paths.getApps. Now, I've already said, when you have a / in front of it, that is an absolute path. That is a relative path. All right. So if you have that in front of it, it's an absolute path. If you don't have that in front of it, it's a relative path. That would be path relative to the current relative path relative to the current working directory. All right. That is actually the path C apps. Okay. Now I have a folder called C apps. All right. So we can see here, I have created a folder called apps. So just right click, create a folder in your C drive, call it apps. Remember, it's case sensitive. All right. So does the folder exist? C apps exist. So I go files exist path1, which is that guy there. And that returns, we'll show you how it returns. So we go examples at ex1. And we can see, yes, it does. Okay, because you've seen already, I have it created there. Okay, bring it up again. There's my apps folder. Put this aside here. Now, so we've checked path 1, which is that path, and to prove it's the same path as this guy, we also check files.exist paths.get c/apps. Okay, so this is an absolute path. Now this path is the same as this path. To prove that they're the same, does this exist? Yes, it does. True. All right. Now, so checking for a folder called source. So here we're going to show you again the difference between relative paths and absolute paths. Okay. So if I go, now this is the one we're searching for. All right. So if we search for this file, so I go files.exist. I'm going to go paths.get. Take out that second guy there, don't need it. And what we're looking for a folder called this guy here, /src. Now, that is not, I have too many things there. Should be 1, 2, 3. Right, now, this is the absolute path, C, SRC, does not exist. Okay, see there. I don't have a folder called SRC in here. All right. That is an absolute path, so which does not exist. So this will return what? There it is. Okay. Now, if you want to check the relative path source, so I go files.exist, and I go take out this guy, and I go paths.get, and I go src. Now that's a relative path. Okay, it's relative to this directory here. All right, it's relative to, no, because we haven't used relativize or anything like that, so it's not relative to another. It's not relative to another folder. It's relative to this folder here. Okay, so paths.get src. Now this will return true. This is a relative path. It's relative to the current application directory. Now, I don't know what actually names these directories are. I call them application directories or source directories or whatever. Okay, so it's relative to this guy here. So it's relative to the current application directory. So this will return true, as we can see, to the as we can see from our directory tree that there is a folder called SRC. Okay, folder called SRC. There it is. Okay, that's our directory tree. All right, that's what I call it. Or you call it, I suppose the correct name for it is Package Explorer. We can say from our Package Explorer view, there's a folder called source inside the folder, inside the application folder. In my case, I put an F in front of it because that distinguishes it as my 9.2 interacting with and files B. Okay, so that will return true. Okay, now if you want to get the current, right, so if I do this, paths.get okay, now if you want to get your current directory, because you could be working in another folder, you could be working on another machine, all right? You don't know the actual path you're actually in. It could be really long-winded, all right? So a quick way to find out your current working directory, okay, is this guy. So paths.get. Now, if I just put in paths.get, that will print just a dot, all right? Because if we look at the very end of this file, what do you have here? You have a dot. So what you're actually doing is you're getting the path of the dot. That's all you're getting, all right? So by going paths dot get to absolute path, that will get you, so this will get a full absolute path address of the current working directory. Okay, so this guy here, all this gets, this just returns the dot. Which is the last symbol in our current directory address. So to prove it, I will copy this. Okay, notice the dot here at the end. So you're getting the path of the dot. Now, if you just get the path of the dot, it's going to be relative path, so it just gets you the dot. If you want to change it to two absolute path, just go to absolute path, and we can see the dot at the very end. So I'll say here, notice the dot at the end of the address. Okay, so notice the dot at the end of the address. Now, I don't know how they showed this in the book, but if you have this, files.exist, it shows this in the book. I'm not too sure why. I'm not even sure why this is of any use. I can't see any use for it. Okay, so this will return true. So this will return true, and this is current. Directory. Now, I'm presuming that the reason you have that is you could be writing code away, and you might be writing code in another location that's not your working directory, but you can do that. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. So by running this code, you can see, is the file you're actually, where it's located, is it located in the working directory? All right, because it doesn't matter where your Java files are, all right? When you're developing code, it doesn't really matter where they are. It matters, all right, when you're running them, all right? But if you're just typing up your code, you can type up your code anywhere, all right? Now, so that's that first section. Now, the next thing we come on to is the topic that you mightn't actually be able to do on your machine. Okay. Now, this is something called pt5. Okay. These are called symbolic links and hard links. Okay. Now, what are these guys? These guys are shortcuts. All right. Now, so right, so here we go. I will type up this comment. Actually, I'll copy it. I'll copy it. Right. So I need to make that a bit smaller. Now, NIO.2 provides support for symbolic and hard links. Now, the exam only really covers symbolic links, but the premise is that a hard link, so here it is, a hard link is a source file and a file that is called a hard link. All right, so we'll be seeing it. So we something called a hard link. So we have a file, okay? So we have a file called myfile.txt. And you have another file, okay? Okay, you have another file. I'm gonna call it link to file. Okay, now there are two separate files. They appear on your operating system as two separate files. But all that this is when you click on this, it links to this file. Okay, it is a separate file. All right, it is a separate file, but it's just a link to that guy. It's like, you know, in a hyperlink, you click on a hyperlink, it brings you to the file. So this is a file that's nothing but a hyperlink. That's all. So that is something called a hard link. Okay, something called a hard link. So a hard link is a separate file that's nothing but a link to another file. So if you open this file, what happens is this file opens. Okay, now it is a separate file. All right, now there's something else called a symbolic link. Now a symbolic link is you use them every day. Every time you turn on your machine, you are using symbolic links. Okay, so I'll bring one across here. So let's see which one is a good one to bring across. Remember this guy, Flashback Express Recorder. There's a symbolic link. Okay, symbolic link is a shortcut. Okay, that's what it is. You click on the shortcut, blah blah blah. So you click on the shortcut. That shortcut is linked. Yes. Okay, who cares? That is linked to the .exe in Flashback Express folder that opens up the application. Okay, so a hard link is a separate file. Right now, it's a separate file. All it does is it links to the, so it just links to the machine, but it is a separate file. Okay, and it'll appear on your operating system as just another file. All right, and if you double click on it, it will open up as an ordinary file. If it's a text file, it'll open up a blank file. However, if you open it up through Java, right? So we have two files, link to file and myfile.txt. Actually, I'll come to that in a minute. All right, something I have to say in there. I'm not sure if it's true. All right, so when we open this up in Java, what it does is it actually opens up this file. Okay, now a symbolic link, they basically do the same thing, but a hard link appears as a separate file, separate text file, whereas a symbolic link is going to appear as a shortcut. It's going to have this little arrow here with Windows. All right, this is a shortcut to my Epic Pen thing I used to use for writing on the screen. All right, now I use Zoom. Funny thing is, I can use Zoom to do the recording because it's not using the internet, but I can't use Zoom here as my internet isn't good enough to see each one of you. So strange, but it's neither here nor there. All right, now a hard link and a symbolic link basically do the same thing. All right, they're just links. The difference being really is that the hard link is displayed on your operating system as a separate file, normal file, whereas the symbolic link is displayed as a shortcut. Okay, all right, so that's the theory, and we're going to show you the practice. Right, now a symbolic link appears on your OS, that's your operating system, as a shortcut. So it is more immediately apparent that this is a link and the file it is linked to is easily obtained. NIO.2 can use the symbolic link to then access the source file. They basically do the same thing though. A hard link and a symbolic link are basically doing the same thing, is that you're not concerned with the actual symbolic link or the hard link, you're concerned what it's linked to. Okay, now there are in NIO.2 are optional arguments. Okay, in NIO.2, a lot of methods have optional arguments, okay, which are, what do you call these things? These are kind of like values, all right? They're not quite variables. They're just something that holds a value, all right? They're just words that hold a value. I suppose it's a variable, okay? A lot of methods have optional arguments, okay? These are inbuilt words that mean something, okay? And two of them that apply are. So this one is to apply to symbolic links are. This one, no, follow, links. Now, so these are arguments. So you can have a method of the symbolic link. Okay, you create a symbolic link, and one of the methods is called, let me just have a look at them. Down here. Walk is one of them. Okay, walk. Now, we won't be covering that until tomorrow or maybe even Monday. All right, something called walk. Okay, now what you can do is walk will bring you to a directory. All right, you've got a directory with 50 files in it. All right, what walk will do is everywhere it sees a symbolic link, which is a shortcut, it's going to see where that leads to. So walk can be used to get all the files that are linked to all the symbolic files inside here, or it can be used, this is a dangerous thing to do, but you can do it, is that all the symbolic links could lead to an exit. It can run all those exits. All right, so walk is a way for us to go through a directory and see where all the links, what they lead to. All right, so it basically can open all of the files. And when you open a symbolic link, what it actually does is it opens up the file it's linked to. So walk allows us to go through the whole directory to do that. All right. Now, you can set your symbolic link. So what you can do, this guy here, one of the methods of symbolic links can pass in the words no follow links. What this means, that we will not follow the link to this file. Okay, so we use this to perform actions on the actual link file. Okay, so if we just want to go into a directory and do something to all of the files. Now, if we have no follow link set on one of the shortcuts, it'll do an operation on the file without going to the linked file. Okay, if you're doing an action on a symbolic link, it will go to the linked file unless you set this variable, no follow links. Okay, and you actually put it in a method. So I can't think of any of the methods offhand, but let's say one of the methods is called walk. Now this isn't the right way, and it might take an int, let's say 4. And after that, we will put in the words no follow links. Okay, so it's doing something to 4 files, and if one of those files is a symbolic link, it won't open up the linked file. That's what no follow links does. Okay, and that's the way you pass it in. You actually pass in the words no follow link. Okay, the opposite of that then is follow. Now, we will be doing both of these. Again, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it on a machine that's running Windows 10 at home. Now, a year ago, I know you couldn't. Now, that might have changed. All right. That might have changed. I know the last time I ran this code on Windows Home, it wouldn't work. And that was a year ago. So this is Windows Professional. Now, I think they do work on Unix. All right. So if any of you want to give Unix a try, by all means, but don't ask me anything about it because I know nothing about it. I think some of you in the class know a bit about Unix. Marek, you know a bit. Igor, you know a bit. Anyone else who knows anything about it, you can talk much else. I know nothing about it. So if you want to do Unix, fine. It probably is better for software development, to be perfectly honest. All right. But okay, so this will follow a link to a file if a symbolic link is encountered. All right, so let's say you want to check all the files in a directory. You got 50 files. Some of those are symbolic links. All right. If you have a method called walk basically just goes through the directory and checks all of the files. All right. If it's going through all of the files, what it actually does, it won't check if you have follow links. It won't check the shortcut. It will check the file it's linked to. That's what follow links does. No follow links. What that does is it will check all of the files. If it encounters a symbolic link, let's say we have a link to Word, and it'll have that little arrow on it. Okay. No follow links. What it does is it'll check that file as opposed to the Word application. If you had follow links, if it encountered that file, it wouldn't check that file. It would check, actually the file is actually called word.exe. That's what it's linked to. All right. Now, shortcuts are on your own machine, and they're usually linked to some file that's going to be, so the links you see on your desktop are symbolic links, okay? For instance, that one, Epic Pin. Now that one is, I can even see what it's linked to. Right click, properties. I can see that it's linked up to a folder, program files x86. In the Epic Pin folder, there is a file called epicpin.exe. So when I go to open this, it doesn't open the Epic Pin shortcut. It opens up the linked file, which is an exe. All right. Now, if that was set to no follow links, a double click in that, it would open up that link. Might open it up in WordPad or something like that. But it's set to follow links. All right. Now, so I'll bring up our. Now, so first thing we need to do a couple of housekeeping things, right? Because we're going to be creating a folder, and we're going to have two files inside this folder, and we're going to create hard links and symbolic links to files in this folder, okay? And they're all going to be in the same folder to make things easier. So first thing I do is I create a folder called original, okay? I create a folder called original. Now, inside this folder, I'm going to create two files. The first file I'm going to call it is going to be text document, and it's going to be called original, original.txt. There's going to be another file, and this is going to be called myfile.txt. Okay, so there we have our two files. All right, oh shit, didn't need to close it. Let's open it up again. All right, so they're there. So it's myfile.txt and original.txt. Okay, so they're there. At the moment of the screen here, I can see them. Now, so first thing I'm going to do, I am going to create a path. I'm going to call this target. Path, target. I'm going to make it an absolute path. And this is going to be the absolute path C original. And this is going to be original.txt. Okay, so this is going to be the target for our symbolic links. Okay, this is going to be, now I'm going to do it first, and then I'm going to write up the comments here. All right, so I'll do it first, then I'll write up the comments. Now, first thing we have to do is we have to, so actually I'll write as we're going. No, I won't. We'll start it off first. Okay, so first thing we have to do, we've created these two files. So make sure these two files are created. We're correct. Now, then we have to run the command line prompt, but we have to run the command line prompt as a administrator, because if you want to make hard or symbolic links, you have to be an administrator, number one. Also, up until last year, now this might have changed. I don't know if it has changed or not. Okay, I don't know if this has changed or not. You had to have Windows 10 Professional, right? So this may not work on your machine. Okay, this may not work on your machine, but I'm going to show you the principle of it anyway. Okay, it works on mine, but it may not work on your machines. It it definitely wouldn't work on the machines of GRETB. I speak out again with that fucking place anyway. Anyway, controversial. So we are going to create. Where am I going to go here? All right, so I'm going to go to command line prompt. All right, now, but we're going to run the command line prompt as an administrator. So to get the command line prompt, you go to your search box, which is here. You type cmd. Now you go to command line prompt and you right click and you run as administrator. All right, wouldn't be able to do this in GRETB. You should be able to do this at home on your own machines. Run as administrator, and I don't know if you can see what's coming on the screen. Do you want this allowed to make? Yes. Okay. So this is what comes up. See window. System 32, that is the heart of your, that's the heart of Windows. Okay, that's the heart, soul, brain, everything of Windows is Windows System 32. All that means is you can run a command line prompt in this. Now don't run any command line commands in this folder. The folder we want to go to, cd c original. Oh fuck yeah, it's all right. Okay, so now we're in that folder, right? CD means change directory. Now, so what we're going to do is, now I'm going to get this command. So there is a command called inklink, stands for a link. Now, this is for creating shortcuts. All right, this creates shortcuts on your machine. All right, now, if I don't include the H, these are called switches. Okay. Now, by the way, it doesn't matter what sort of software development you're going to do. You're going to be using the command line prompt a lot more than we used. All right, you are going to be using this a lot more than we used. We're using Eclipse primarily because it's easier to show concepts, but most software houses use the command line prompt a lot. All right. Now, so we're going to make a link. So mklink. Now, if I don't put in a switch, it's going to make this a symbolic link. However, I've put in the switch H, which means this is going to be a hard link. Okay. Now, the hard, so this guy takes two arguments. The first argument is the name of the hard link. Name of hard link file. Okay. The second argument is the file we are linking to. All right, so this file has to exist. If this file exists, this is going to be created, right? So I'm going to run this command. All right, I'm going to run this command and get rid of all of this shit. Hard link created for hard copy original text.txt, and we can see there it is. Okay, now if I open up original, I type something. This is my original .txt file. Now, if I double click on hard copy, it opens up the original txt file. See that? I'll do that again. If I double click on hard copy, it opens up. Now, that is actually the original txt. So I'm going to change the file here. So original.txt, hardcopy.txt. See, original txt. Even though it says it's hardcopy.original.txt, what it's actually doing, it's opening up this one. All right. Now, so we've created a hard link. Okay. And by the way, if I type something in here, this is my original text file. So there, I save that, I close that. If I open the original, see the original has changed. All right. So if we change this copy, what we're actually doing is we're changing this guy. All right. Notice original.txt. I take off, so there. Close it. I click on hard copy, original.txt. See it? This is my original.txt file. All right. Now, so we have created a hard link. Now we want to create a link to my file here. All right. So I'm going to keep this screen open here. Make it bigger. Alert icons. So there we are. Okay. So there's our file. Now, the next one I am going to create a symbolic link. Now, you can also create symbolic links in different folders that are connected to different folders, blah, 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 okay? As far as I know, you can run this command and it can create a symbolic link in a different folder to the folder it's in, but it's complicated and I don't know how to do it. This is just easier, all right? So it's here. This is an easier one. So the command is make link. Okay, this is the file we're linking to. And this is the shortcut. Now this is a symbolic link. So this is a shortcut. All right. The shortcut is going to be called symlink myfile.txt. Now I didn't put in any switch. When I don't put in any switch, by default, it's going to be a symbolic link. Okay. I was going to say understand. I don't know what you do, you don't. Okay. So I'm going to run that guy. There it is. Okay, see the little arrow here. Now I'm going to put in, this is my file.txt. I'm going to close that guy. I click on this guy. See it? That is my file.txt. Now, if I click on, so I click on this guy, it opens up original.txt. Now, hard copy, it's the way it's displayed in Windows. It basically does the same thing. However, it says that this is hard copy original.txt. So this is basically a copy of this one that's linked to this one, I think. All right. But they're both links. All right. Simplest way to say is that they're both links. But this one is a symbolic link. Okay. This one is a hard link. So click on this, it opens up myfile.txt. Click on this. So whatever I do in here is reflected in the original file as well. Okay, so if I change this one, all right, click on hard copy. So that seems to be the hard copy that's open, but it's not. It's actually original. All right. So they both are links. Now, I'm not too sure of the mechanics about what's actually happening there, but they are both links at the end of the day. All right. Now, the link is displayed as a link, whereas a hard copy is displayed as a separate file. All right. Now, I'm sure there is a difference in symbolic and hard links in Unix, but in Windows, there isn't really an awful lot of difference between the two of them. Now, as I say, those commands may not work on your machine. All right. Make link may not work on your machine, but give it a try anyway. See what happens. Okay. Now, so we have our files created. Now, let's see. So you need to do all these comments. So I have the comments done out here. We'll paste in. So read all comments before attempting this code. Create folder original in C drive. Create 2 files inside this folder, original.txt and myfile.txt. Open command line prompt as administrator in Windows 10. Type search box CMD and command prompt option appear. Right click on this option and click on run as administrator. Type cd command C original. You can just copy and paste that. Run the below command line to create the hard link. Make link h hard copy original.txt. Okay, you will check folder to see if file is created. Okay, run the below command line prompt to create the symbolic link, and then check folder to see if file is created. Always do that. Now, you can't create hard and symbolic links in this code unless we change settings that you can only do Windows 10 Professional, as far as I know. Right now, that may have changed. All right, that may have changed. So knock yourselves out. See, does it work? I don't know. Does it work or not? Okay. Now, now we have our files created here. So I want to see, does this file exist? So I go to properties. So it is, I just to get the name of it. Okay, that's the name of my file. So I am going to go here, path h link is equal to paths.get. I'm going to say that is wrong. That should be C original. Lowercase c2. Sometimes that can cause issues. All right. C original.txt. Okay. So I'm going to do this loud. The original, and then I'm going to paste in the name of our file. The name of our file, which is this guy. Right. Now, and I've called this hard link. Now, I'm going to check to see does this file exist. Now, in order for clips to recognize hard links, sometimes, now as I say, I don't know if you're going to get them able to work, right? But I found in my case that sometimes I need to restart Eclipse. Sometimes I need to restart my machine. I assume that's something to do with the operating system. All right, so I'm just trying to check to see, does files.exist recognize this file? And does it recognize this file? So I'm going to say target file. Does our target file exist? Let me go here, target. So it's going to be files.exists target. Okay, so run this as ex2. Yeah. Okay, now we want to see, does it recognize the hard link file? Now, as I said, sometimes it can be finicky enough. So this is H-link. And let's see, does that exist? Okay, good. Okay, that's fine. Now, if you do manage to get these working, all right, if you do manage to get these working, I can't guarantee that you will, all right, but if you do, if it doesn't recognize I'll say it yet, doesn't recognize it, shut down Eclipse, turn it on, start Eclipse again. If it still doesn't recognize it, shut down Eclipse again, reboot your machine, turn off your machine, turn it on. That should, it's all to do with files being refreshed and all sorts of other shit. Sometimes the operating system doesn't recognize symbolic links or hard links. Okay. Now, so put it in here. May need to restart Eclipse or even reboot your machine for Windows to recognize the hard and symbolic links files. Okay, so this should return true. What is that? That is the file we are a hard link to. This is the file. It is the hard link. Okay. Now, so I'm going to check to see, does the easiest thing to do. So what's this one? This is our file, our path, the symbolic link to, and this is path that is a symbolic link. Okay. So we want to find out, do both of these guys exist? So do both these exist? Fingers crossed. True. Okay, good. All right, so this will be true. This guy will be true. Now, so just further about up here. Right, so in Windows Home Edition, so I'll say it here, you cannot directly create Java links, symbolic links in Java. You get the following exception. So if you get this one, file system exception, so call it whatever you want. is not held by the client. If you have Windows 10 Professional, you need to run something called secpol.msc. Now, I don't want to run it again, but how you run that is cmd, run as administrator. Yes. And you just basically run it here, I think. All right. So you can try running something called secpol.msc. I think you run it in there. I'm not too sure. You'd have to Google it to try and find out. All right. So if you do have Windows 10 Professional, it will work. Windows 10 Home, I don't think you can create symbolic links with it, as far as I know. Now that might have changed, right? They might have changed it because it's a year since I tried to run this on Windows Home, and I don't have any machine that runs Windows Home. So I don't know if it's changed or not. All right. So, but I'm going to continue now. As far as I know with Unix, I think you can. I don't know. Not too sure. Right. Now, I'm going to run this. Okay, so what is the error here? All right. Now, so everything up to here hasn't been interacting with the file. All right. Now, exists doesn't actually interact with the file. All right. Doesn't interact with the file. It's just checking the file system object. What's the file system object? The file system object is the object that holds details about your directories and files. So it's going to be a fairly substantial object, but both exists only checks the file system object. It doesn't actually check the file itself. All right. Now, if you're going to do anything with a file, remember I said before, so files exist, and any method that doesn't require you to be in the try catch block, that's interacting with the file system object, right? So it's not, so a lot of the methods of the path class, they're not actually interacting with the file at all. What they're doing, they're interacting with something called the file system object. File system object is what holds details about how your files are stored, where they're stored, etc. All right. Now, if we're going to actually do anything with the files, they have to be in a, remember these boys, try catch block. Now we're just going to put in catch exception. Okay. Now, so we want to find out. Yeah. Now, we're not going to do any more with these. We're just going to do one last thing with these. We're not going to do anything more with these symbolic and hard links until tomorrow. All right. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be checking all the files in a directory. All right. You can check all the files in a directory by using something called walk. All right. And what walk can do is if it sees a symbolic link, it can check what that symbolic link is linked to. It can check. So while it's actually not checking the symbolic link, so let's see. We have, let's say we have a file called cv.doc. Okay. And we have another file called wages.xls. And we have another one called love.txt. Okay. 4 files. And then we have something called word. And this is a symbolic link. It's going to have a little arrow. And we have something called PowerPoint. And it has a symbolic link. Okay. Now, so you do something called walk. Now, walking is just basically checking all the files in it. You can list them, you can do whatever you want. All right. Now, if you walk this one, it's going to say CV doc printed out, wages printed out, or do whatever you want. Love.txt printed out, do whatever you want. Now, Word, it's not going to print out that link. It's going to be print out, or it'll do whatever it has to do. It will, let's say, go to C program files, and it'll be x86. It'll be Microsoft. It'll be something called Office. It'll be in a folder called Word, and it'll be linked up to Word.exe. Okay, so you want to get the address of that guy. It'll say, so let's say this is in C, my documents. Okay, so you want to get the address of each one of those. What it's going to do, it's going to go see my documents /CV doc. See my documents for /wages. See my documents /love.txt. And for this one, what it's going to print off is C program files, Microsoft, sorry, C program files /Microsoft /Office /Word /Word.exe. All right. So if you wanted to get the address of all of these files, it would print off that guy. Now, that's if you're using follow links. Now, I think it's with walk, you can use follow links. All right. So that means if you want to get the address of all of those files and you have follow links, it's going to get the address of the file it's linked to. Now, this only works with symbolic links, not with hard links. Okay. Now, if I have no follow links, oops, didn't mean to bring that lie down. If I have no follow links, what happens is it will give the location of that symbolic link, which will be see my documents word.link, will probably be the extension. All right. So, but that's for tomorrow. Actually, you know, I might even do a video Saturday because, Jesus, I find Saturday extra boring because it's usually a day when you're doing something. There's nothing to do, so I find it really, really boring entirely. So I might even do a video on a Saturday. Exciting weekends. Welcome to Corona Nation, as they say. All right. So, but if you want to find out what a file is linked to, all right. So you're accessing a file through a link, but you want to find out, or sorry, you're accessing a file through a link. You don't know whether this is the right file or not. All right. So what you can do is this. All right. So try. And I got to put in an exception here. All right. So I'm going to go here. So we're going to go put in the statement. Hard link and file it is linked to. Right now, so what I'm going to go, I go files dot is same file. Okay, files is same file. So this takes two arguments. It takes the file it's linked to and the link. Jesus Christ. Loom. So the Zoom has stopped all new future development for the next 90 days to fix security. Yeah, it's all. It was obvious that it couldn't really handle. They never expected to become so popular. All right, it probably isn't the most secure thing in the world, but we're not doing anything private on it, so yeah, doesn't really matter to us. All right, we're not doing anything that private. But if I wouldn't go revealing bank details or anything like that, to be perfectly honest. All right, so just to be perfectly honest, any sort of web communications, I'll be perfectly honest, if unscrupulous people want to see what you're saying and doing, I don't think there's actually anything you can do to stop them. So, happy cheery thought, isn't it? Now, your average hacker is still not going to be able to get access to your webcam and all this sort of thing. But I'll be honest, if I'm not using my webcam directly, I would put no harm just to put a cap over it or something. All right. If you have your machine left on, I don't know what I leave my laptop on the whole time. To be honest, and I definitely wouldn't leave my webcam on the whole time. If I do, I would just do that. Put something over it. Okay. Anyway, happy thought, isn't it? So, target is our file. H-link is the file we're linking to. Okay. I go here. Now, so if I'll put in the comment here. I need to go on the next 10 minutes, folks, because I have to do the joys of living with your parents. I have to do them dinner. All right. So that's my life. Java and dinner. Whoopee. It's exciting. Okay, this retardant is true. As target is the file and H-link is merely a hard link to the file. This command does not tell you if the files have the same name and content. This command only tells you if they are the same file, i.e. a file mytextdx. Okay, that is a bullshit. That's wrong. I don't know what I was talking about. Right, so now this command checks to see if this link, this hard link, is a link. So this hard link file, H-link, is a link to the target file. Target now. What is the H-link? H-link is this file up here. Is it here? Which is that one. That guy. Target. Which is the original file, which is this guy. Okay. If this is the link for file, this will return true. Now, if I created for another path, okay, I'm going to use s-target. So not a correct link file. I'm going to go file. Okay. Hold on there a second, please. Hello, Parik. Oh, yeah, just hold on there. Just hold on a minute, Parik. So I just need to pause the video for a minute, folks. This is my brother talking here. I presume you don't want to talk to him. The joys of being the only one who knows how to work a fucking computer in the middle of a pandemic. All right. I don't know how many, I haven't talked to as many people in the last 2 days. Noel, how do you do this? Noel, how do you do that? Sweet Jesus wept, and all ages. For fuck's sake. I'd say the oldest person who rang me, she's a woman who lives up the road here, herself and her husband. The husband is 91 and she's 80. So she does regularly ring me. Oh, how do you do this, Noel? How do you do that, Noel? Anyway, so I'm going to have s-target, okay, which is this guy here. And I'm going to say h-link. That should be false, okay? That one is false. Now, however, this one, I'm going to copy here. So symbolic link and file the same. So target, s-target and s-link, which is these two guys up here. So s-target is that guy. S-link is that guy. Okay, so we want to find out is this linked to this guy? Is this linked up to this guy? The answer for this should be true. Okay, now, so that is that video finished. So I'll upload that video, and this is going to be saved as, let me just see. This video is going to be saved as bugger. It's not OneDrive. Fuck yeah. So this video is going to be saved as chapter 9, 9.2. It's going to be 9.2e. Okay. Right, that took a lot longer than I thought. So 9.2e. The one after that is going to be called 9.2f. So this video is going to be called 9.2e. So might do another one today. I'll see. Okay, if I don't, there'll be another one tomorrow. Okay. See you later, children. Bye.